Welcome to our What's New on Everlaw Training July 2025 edition. All right, let's dive into the agenda. Today we're going to cover 2 new features and several key improvements to the platform that will hopefully make your existing workflows even smoother. As always, we'll have platform demonstrations throughout to show you exactly where to find and how to leverage some of these tools, as well as go over some of our newly available learning resources at the very end of the session. So starting off, we have 2 new features in this release, or as of this release. The first is the ability to create custom pre-production QC checks. And the second is access to improved translation tools for Everlaw GovCloud users, including stored translation and batch translation. And I will say these features or tools are also available for other Everlaw users. They just weren't available on the GovCloud before, and now they are. So excited to announce their availability for those folks. Then we'll move on to our feature improvements. We have the and nothing else option now available when searching across a combination of email domains and email addresses. We've created the ability to bulk export search term reports. A big change here is some significant OCR improvements for inline images within emails and additional document types. Pretty excited to chat about this one when we get there. And finally, the ability to assign other Bates numbers or values to processed documents, whereas previously this was only available for natively uploaded documents on the platform. Finally, we will then close out our session today by revealing a new weekly training offering, as well as updates to our standing story builder training sessions, and finally, a new resource on email threading. So excited to share those with you all as well. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started with our new features. So first up today, as mentioned, is our first major new feature in this release, the ability to create customizable pre-production QC checks. And this is hopefully a game changer for anyone involved in document productions on Everlaw. Previously, and still, Everlaw provides a standard set of quality checks for your productions that it will run for you and then display for you prior to production. While these are often quite important quality checks to run prior to your production, we have heard from many of you that you needed more flexibility in order to incorporate your own unique QC checks based on specific project requirements. And so now you can do just that. You're able to define and apply custom quality checks when running your pre-production QC. And this means that you can create checks specific to your case and your organization's standards. As well, once you have those created, if they are applicable to other cases that you're working on or other productions, you can even template them for reuse across future projects and productions as needed. You'll also be able to disable individual default Everlaw checks that might not be relevant to a particular production protocol or production that you're running. And this will give you even greater control and help you focus on the warnings that truly matter, avoiding general warnings that might obscure your legitimate issues or just be tedious as you don't need them for your particular production. We are really hoping that you find these new features save you time and help maintain the integrity of your produced documents by reducing manual QC steps. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like on the platform. I will say in order to leverage custom QC checks to get started with creating them, you will need to be either an organization administrator, a project administrator in the particular project you are running this production in, or have production admin permissions for the specific project, again, that you're producing from. From the Everlaw platform here, you'll first want to navigate to the data transfer icon here in the top toolbar and select Productions. From here, find the Advanced Settings tab over on the left, and within that page, we'll want to navigate to the Custom Quality Checks section. To create a new custom quality check, we'll simply come over to the right and select New Custom Check here. In this dialog that appears, we'll go through a couple different steps. First, you will give your check a name. So if this does come up as a warning, something is flagged within your production set, what will that warning say? You will then define what the custom check is. So what are we looking for here? What are we checking for within our document set? And I'll give some examples of this in just a moment. And then finally, as you scroll, you will choose the severity. So if this warning does come up, do you want it to be flagged as a minor or major warning for folks on your team reviewing it? And finally, what will that suggested resolution be that, again, folks in your team will see as they are coming into contact with this warning and deciding how to move forward? So with that high level overview in mind, let's go ahead and scroll back up and we'll go through a couple different examples here. As you are defining your custom check, this should look familiar, hopefully for folks who've used our search query builder before. Same format here, you will decide what types of documents you want the check to look at using your different search terms here. Something that's important to note is that what you are defining here is the documents you do want in your production. And so if the criteria that you lay out here is not met, that's when this flag will appear for you on your production QC page. So for example, let's say that I am running a production and I only want to produce emails in that set. Should this warning come up, let me know that I have other types of documents. I potentially want it to say, let's say non-email documents. That would make sense to me and my team that I have some documents that aren't emails that are being flagged by this check. In the define section, what I want to put in here then are the documents I do want included in my production. So in this case, I'm going to choose my type search term and select emails. So what this does is it says, hey, we want all documents in our production set to be emails. If that is not the case, go ahead and throw this flag for me or throw this custom QC check warning, letting me know that I have documents that do not meet that criteria, that are not emails. So there's one example. Another one might be, let's say that you do not want any privileged documents or any documents coded as privileged to be a part of your production. So I'll have that flag here if they are a part of my document set. It'll let me know, hey, you have privileged documents. Again, what I'm selecting here is what I want to be true for my production. So in this case, I'm going to find coded, the coded search term, in that privilege code. So within my larger category of privilege, I'm specifically looking for documents that have privilege applied. And in this case, I want none of those. So I'm going to go ahead and negate it. I do not want any documents coded privilege within my set. If that is not the case, if Everlaw finds there are documents coded as privileged, it will then give you this warning letting you know you have privileged documents. If you have any questions about setting up these checks or making sure that they are created as intended for your particular workflows, always feel free to reach out to our team and we're happy to work with you and walk you through this process. As I scroll down, the next step will be to determine severity, and this is up to your team. So as these warnings appear when you are reviewing your protocol and your production set and getting ready to produce, do you want this warning to be flagged as a minor warning? So maybe something to consider, to take a look at, or a major warning. This is, a big issue with your production. We really want to give it a good look. So I'll go ahead and say major for this one. And then finally, we'll want to enter a suggested resolution. So as your team is reviewing your production set, getting ready to produce, and this warning pops up, what do you want it to say as the suggested resolution that folks should take to address this? So maybe in this case, I want to say, assign out all documents, coded as privileged to my lead reviewer or whomever it might be for a second pass review. Okay, I'll go ahead and click create. And I now have that custom check here. So you will be able to track from this page all of the custom quality checks that you have created, whether or not they've already been applied to a particular production protocol, they will exist here. And as you can see, you can edit them from here. Maybe I want to change that resolution, delete them, and create new ones as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and see how to apply these custom checks to a particular production protocol. So still within this productions page here, I'm going to go ahead and select new protocol, but do note that you can also go to an existing protocol and edit it to add in or update the QC checks that you have running for that protocol. But starting from scratch here, what I'll want to do is go ahead and start off creating my protocol or my instructions for this particular production or set of productions that I'm going to be running. And as I move through, you'll see that there is a new step here, which is our custom quality checks step. On the step, you'll see two tabs, standard and custom. Standard is going to list out for you all of the Everlaw default checks that you can run when you're leveraging this protocol for production. And then custom will be where you'll see those that you have created under that advanced settings tab that we were just on. So since we're already on the custom tab here, I have not applied any custom checks yet to this protocol. Obviously, I just started it. So what I want to do is go ahead and select into this dropdown. I'll see all of the custom checks that I've created, and I can select them from here to go ahead and add them to my protocol and ensure that Everlaw is checking for this when it is doing my pre-production QC. On the standard tab, I'll have the option here to disable any Everlaw default checks that I no longer want to leverage. And you'll see there are some checks that can't be disabled. So for example, making sure that my load file fields are valid. This is something that I'll need to keep enabled there. But maybe I know that I'm never using a privilege rule, so I don't need Everlaw to flag that for me. If there is not one, I can go ahead and disable that from here. Once I've made my selections here, I can go ahead and continue creating my production protocol. So I'll continue to move through the wizard here. And then later, as I am ready to run my production, I come to my protocols tab here and choose the particular protocol that I want to go ahead and apply. I have my document set there. This is where I'll be able to see both those default and custom warnings or flags for me here as applicable. I can also see everything that was checked for this particular protocol and did not throw a warning or a flag. And then I'll be able to resolve them as needed and continue on with my production from here. If instead you wanted to add them to an existing protocol, from that protocols tab, you'll just navigate to the protocol that you want those checks in. Let's say it's my example protocol from before. I can come to the View Protocol Summary button on the right and then choose Edit, and I'll be able to go back through those steps. So again, I can make changes here from that tab that we saw before, continue on and update my protocol as needed. Move back to my slides here, and we will chat about our next new feature, which is once again an improvement for our government users with databases on our Everlaw Gov Cloud instance. With this release, you are now able to purchase and access enhanced translation functionality. So do note, once again, these features are also available in our commercial instance for non-government users as well. What they allow you to do, so this is true for all folks here, is if your organization has purchased Everlaw AI credits, you now have access on the GovCloud to batch translation and translation storage for non-English language text. This means you can do a couple different things. You can batch translate non-English documents. You can search documents based on their stored translated text. You can batch export stored translations as text files. And perhaps best of all, you can also avoid repeated translations every time you view a document, because now we actually store that translation rather than you running it each time you review it. This feature doesn't replace the existing ad hoc translation option for single documents. That still remains available at no additional cost. This is specifically for those who do need to manage and work with large volumes of translated text. And as always, please feel free to reach out to your Everlaw point of contact or our support team if you don't know who that point of contact is, if you'd like to chat with someone about these options a bit further. All right, and with that, let's move on to our improvements that we've made to existing features. Starting off here with the and nothing else option, this is an improvement that we have made to searching email addresses using communicator search terms. So those being to, CC, BCC, as well as parties and recipients smart search terms. If you're not familiar, smart search terms are those that search across multiple metadata values at once. So for example, our parties search term searches across all four of those fields, to, from, CC, and BCC, so that you can see communications where specific people were involved, regardless of who sent those emails or who received them, right? They can fall into any one of those categories and that email would come up for you. So previously, if you did want to search for emails where, for example, the to field contained only specific email addresses and a specific domain, but nothing else other than what we specified there in the search box, it would require a more complex search. And that's because the and nothing else functionality was limited to searches with names and email addresses or domains and other domains, as we see in this top image here. Now you can select and nothing else, which basically means search for my search terms here and nothing else. So no one else email-wise or domain-wise should be a hit for those documents to come up. You can now leverage that when you're searching a combination of email domains and addresses/contacts. So we hope that this will easily limit your search to a precise subset of email values for that field, ensuring again that no other values are included in your search hits and making this a lot simpler of a search to run than it was previously. Do note that this option doesn't apply to the from search term, as any values you don't select there are already automatically excluded. So it's just looking for the values that you do specify when you run a from search. Okay, let's quickly see this in action. I'm going to navigate over to the platform again, and this time come to the magnifying glass icon up here to find our search page. And I will go ahead and clear this out here and add in our to search term as an example. So let's say that I want to run a search here where anyone with the Enron domain might be included. So emails that are sent to anyone at enron.com, or potentially also the specific email address that I'm interested in, which is michael@corneliusconsultants.com. So when I now keep any of and select and nothing else, what I'm saying is I'm looking for emails where the to field has anyone from @enron.com or michael@corneliusconsultants.com and no one else. So someone with a Gmail domain, for example, would not, if they were the recipient of this email, that email will not come up here in my search. I can go ahead and run the search from here. And then I'll point out, you can always add in the to column here or whatever field you're searching across as it relates to this functionality. So if I come in here to my view icon and choose add or remove columns, I can add in that to value and easily see here who these emails were sent to, filter based on those values that I have just narrowed it down to, sort by those values, and so on. Okay. Another great improvement we have here is for our search term reports, and that is the ability to bulk export search term reports within a given project. So for those of you who manage many search term reports, or STRs for short, you'll be happy to hear that you can now export CSVs of all of your STRs from a given project at the same time. This new functionality saves you significant time from the previous functionality of individual exports only. It also reduces the risk of incomplete exports, especially when you're preparing to close a case or just need a comprehensive record of all the STRs you have in a project. All exported STRs are automatically organized into a single zipped folder, which by default will be named after your project, but you can update that. And that will make it hopefully very easy for you to work with those exported files. So again, this is going to be a quick one, but it's pretty impactful. So let's go ahead and see it in action. From anywhere in your project, you want to navigate to the search term reports page by coming to this document analytics icon and choosing search term reports. Here I can see I have 2 search term reports in this project, so both of those will be exported here. When I come to this new 3-dot menu here next to view report and select export all STRs. Again, will by default be named based off of the project I'm exporting, but I can click in and edit that as needed. And when I click export, it will provide me that zipped folder with a CSV for each one of these search term reports within it. From the home page, you'll be able to find that export by scrolling to the right until you find the batches and exports column. And once that export is complete, you'll be able to go ahead and download that zipped file from here. All right. Next, let's talk about some OCR improvements that we have made for inline images within emails, as well as related to force OCRing additional document types. So this update is all about capturing more text automatically. Prior to this release, OCR has been automatically run upon native upload for TIFFs, PDFs without embedded text, and PDF pages with fewer than 50 embedded non-white space characters. That functionality is not changing. What we are doing is just adding to it so that also we now automatically OCR upon upload. One, all natively uploaded emails with inline images, so any text within those inline images as well. All natively uploaded images, so JPEGs, PNGs, etc. And then when reprocessing documents, the Force OCR option now OCRs all document types, including emails and docx documents. Previously, that only applied to PDFs and images. So just gotten a lot more expansive to now be applied to all document types. Essentially, this means more of your key document text will automatically be identified, searchable, and included in text views and exported text files, as well as available for hit highlighting and persistent hits. Do know that there are no changes associated with this update to the user interface or existing configuration settings during upload, so this will happen for you automatically. And for documents like docx files that might contain embedded images that weren't OCR'd on initial upload, you can now reprocess them using that Force OCR option. 3 things to note. OCR is not perfect, unfortunately. The OCR text might not 100% reflect the text from the image, so always good to keep a keen eye on it. Embedded text is not OCR'd. So the embedded text in documents that are OCR to go through that process is still extracted directly from the text layer of the document. The only change is that any text within inline images is now OCR'd and added to that extracted text. And then finally, this might add to your search results. So if you previously ran searches for specific keywords, the document count of those searches might go up based on text that got OCR'd via reprocessing. Okay, so let's talk about how you can reprocess your documents if you want to take advantage of this functionality for uploads that you've done prior to this release coming out. So again, this is happening automatically now going forward, but if you ran some uploads, early last week and you want to make sure that those are OCR'd in the same manner, that they are taking full advantage of this new functionality, here's how you would do that.
So what I'm going to want to do is navigate over to the search page, or essentially just find and locate the documents that I want to reprocess. And in this instance, I will be running a new search for all documents that I uploaded natively. And the reason that I am doing that rather than, hand selecting a few documents or searching for them is I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything in that native upload, that I do have the option to have more text for now. So I'm going to go ahead and clear out this search. And I will pull in the uploaded search term. And again, going to choose anything that was uploaded natively to reprocess here. So I'll go ahead and hit search. If there's a different set, a subset that you've identified that you want to reprocess, you can always locate those instead. Either way, you'll want to make sure the documents are selected here that you do want to reprocess, and then come to this batch icon and choose reprocess. From here, I'm going to leave my default settings the same. I will go ahead and expand advanced settings, locate the Force OCR option, and then once I am all set, I will hit this blue reprocess button. Apologies, it's a little bit cut off on my screen here, and go ahead and reprocess those documents. And you'll see that it is going to give me some information here about which documents will not be reprocessed, such as documents with highlights or image redactions. Otherwise, I'll go ahead, once that all looks good to me, and hit process.
Last but not least here, for future improvements, we have the ability to assign other Bates to process documents. So this is a big one for flexibility. Previously, this functionality was limited to natively uploaded documents, but you can now assign other Bates values to documents that were uploaded as process data, as well as to documents produced on Everlaw. And essentially what you're doing is you're identifying another unique Bates value, that's what we're calling it, other Bates, for those documents so that it is then visible and you can work with it on the platform as you're working with those documents. I guess you can identify it on the platform related to those documents. This is especially helpful if you are reopening a project and importing documents and you want to ensure that they retain the same other Bates values that they had in the original project, for example. What you'll want to do is from the results table, sort your documents based on their Bates ordering. So I'm going to, or their other Bates ordering, I should say. I'm going to pull up a binder of documents that I uploaded as loose PDFs. So they did not receive their correct Bates numbers upon upload because they weren't named in that way. They were named based off of like an arbitrary value. And so they got these ever Bates numbers instead. But I want to go ahead and associate those correct Bates numbers with them here using the other Bates field. So I've pulled them into a results table. You'll want to make sure they're sorted in the order in which you want them numbered. So this is my first document. This is my second. In how they were sorted and given to me, this has, let's say ABC1 and then so on. And so that's how I want to order them. I'll make sure they're sorted in that way. You can always adjust sort order based on any column value using the ascending and descending options. And then again, I'll come to batch, but this time I want to choose assign or remove other Bates. I will choose whatever my prefix is and whatever number I want it to start with. So whatever the beginning Bates number is for that first document, and I'll go ahead and click apply. As you've applied those, you can, once again, come to add or remove columns and add in that value. So I can add in my other Bates column here. And then I'll be able to see those numbers here next to those documents once that task, has specifically been run. So I probably should have refreshed first, but there we go. So I can see this is ABC1, it's 3 pages. So my next document here is starting at ABC4. So it starts with that first document and then numbers down the list as it goes. Finally, a couple quick notes on performance improvements as of release 119. We're always working to make Everlaw faster and more intuitive. In this release, we've made performance improvements in several areas, including reduced load time for large drafts by up to 60%, reduced load time for the uploads page by up to 25%, and improved ECA promotion task performance by 70%. And with that, I am going to, again, for the sake of time, move on here to talking about our new training resources. So I'm very excited to announce we actually have a completely new training offering specifically designed for brand new users, which will begin the week of July 21st. And that is our new Everlaw Essentials training. So again, this is designed specifically for new users who do want to learn the essentials of Everlaw review functionality. It will cover a homepage overview, accessing assignments, running basic searches, performing basic document review functions, and navigating the training center. And this session is going to be held every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Next, we have revamped our standing story builder training to now be interactive. So just like our search and document review trainings that happen on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Story Builder is now also interactive, meaning that folks get a real hands-on experience. We have included, so most of the content is going to be the same, although of course with the addition of now hands-on activities that folks can practice in real time. And this session is now going to be happening every other Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. It used to happen once a month, so we've also doubled the occurrences for this particular session. Last but not least, as we wrap up, we have heard you that a resource on reviewing email threads would be really useful. Our new workflow page is just that. It covers searching for, viewing, and reviewing email threads in the context panel and results table. You can also find this on the Workflows tab of the Training Center or directly in the Docs tab here on Goldcast. If you're not familiar with our workflow pages, essentially we've pulled together the most important resources that you need to efficiently and effectively learn about performing a given workflow. In this case, that is working with those email threads on Everlaw.